High atop Mount Olympus, where the clouds meet the infinite sky, stands the throne of the most powerful of the gods, Zeus, Lord of the heavens, thunder, and justice. For the ancient Greeks, he was not just a god, he was the guardian of cosmic order, the supreme arbiter of disputes, the protector of oaths and sacred hospitality, Xenia. His thunderbolt, forged by the Cyclopes, was the symbol of his authority and the instrument of his fury. A single bolt hurled from his hands could level cities, burn forests, or split the earth. But Zeus was not just brute strength, he knew how to act with cunning, forge strategic alliances, and manipulate fate. Behind this majestic image lay a god with human passions, capable of falling in love, feeling jealousy, acting out of pride or love. His relationships, often rife with intrigue, profoundly shaped the fate of gods and mortals, giving rise to heroes, monsters, and kingdoms. What follows are the stories of Zeus. From his secret birth to the battles that cemented his throne, through forbidden loves, exemplary punishments, and deeds that shaped the world as seen by the ancient Greeks. There was a time when the sky, earth, and sea were ruled not by the Olympian gods, but by the Titans, primordial beings, children of the earth, Gaia, and the sky, Uranus. On the supreme throne reigned Cronus, lord of time, whose scythe had dethroned his own father. But Cronus's victory did not bring him peace. Gaia, wounded in the heart, whispered a terrible prophecy to him, "Just as you overthrew your father, so one of your sons will overthrow you." And from that day on, fear filled the Titan's heart. When his wife Rhea gave birth to their first daughter, Hestia, Cronus took the baby in his arms and, without hesitation, swallowed her alive. Hestia screamed, but was swallowed by the whirlwind of shadows and silence in her father's womb. The same fate befell Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Rhea, in despair, watched each birth be followed by an act of cruelty. Tears streamed down her face as a mother's love turned into silent hatred for her husband. When her sixth pregnancy began, Rhea could bear it no longer. She sought counsel from her parents, Gaia and Uranus, and together they devised a plan. Feeling the pains of labor, she fled to the island of Crete, where, in a hidden cave on Mount Ida, she gave birth to a boy with bright eyes and a serene countenance, Zeus. To deceive Cronus, Rhea wrapped a stone in cloth, imitating a baby, and handed it to her husband. The unsuspecting Titan swallowed the stone whole, believing he had destroyed the threat. Meanwhile, the real son grew in hiding. The goat Amalthea nursed him with sweet milk, and the nymphs Adrastea and Io rocked him to sleep. Around the cave, the Cuorides warriors beat their shields and spears in a steady rhythm to muffle the baby's cries, so that no sound would escape the Titan's ears. Zeus grew strong and agile, learning from an early age to wield weapons and master his power. The stories he heard from the nymphs spoke of his brothers lost in his father's womb and the injustice that ruled the world. In the young god's heart, a burning desire arose to free them and fulfill his prophesied destiny. When he grew to manhood, Zeus sought out the wise and cunning goddess Metis for help. She concocted a magic potion that would make Cronus vomit everything he had swallowed. With a disguise and gentle words, Zeus approached his father, offering him the drink during a banquet. As he swallowed the potion, Cronus felt his stomach churn. First, he vomited the stone he had mistaken for Zeus, and one by one, his children emerged into the light again, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, all alive and radiant, for they were immortal. Reunited, the six swore loyalty to the brother who had saved them. War was inevitable. The ensuing battle, known as the Titanomachy, lasted 10 years. On one side, the young Olympian gods, led by Zeus, on the other, the powerful Titans, loyal to Cronus. The gods, though brave, could not overcome the brute strength of the Titans. It was then that Zeus freed 3 Cyclopes and 3 Hecatonchires, prisoners of Cronus, from Tartarus. In exchange, the Cyclopes forged divine weapons. For Zeus, the thunderbolt, pure lightning capable of tearing apart mountains. For Poseidon, the trident, which could churn seas and cause earthquakes. For Hades, the helmet of invisibility, capable of hiding even the sound of footsteps. The Hecatonchires, each with 100 arms, hurled boulders the size of hills at the Titans. The sky thundered, the earth shook, and the sea rose in gigantic waves. Finally, Zeus hurled his final thunderbolt at Cronus, striking down his father. The Titans were chained and cast into Tartarus, guarded eternally by the Hecatonchires. After their victory, Zeus and his brothers drew lots for their domains. Zeus took the sky and the supreme throne. Poseidon ruled the seas. Hades took possession of the underworld. Thus began the age of the Olympians, and Zeus, the youngest of Cronus' sons, became the most powerful of them all. The victory over the Titans brought peace to Olympus, but Earth, Gaia, mother of the defeated, never forgave Zeus for imprisoning her children in Tartarus. Her fury was so deep that it transformed into a new plan of revenge. From the drops of blood spilled by Uranus, and with the power of the primordial elements, Gaia gave birth to a new race, the Giants. Colossal creatures with human bodies but legs ending in serpentine tails, flaming eyes, and voices that made mountains tremble. It was said that the Giants were invincible against any god, but that they could be defeated if a mortal fought alongside the Olympians. Gaia knew this weakness and, determined to protect her children, tried to prevent Zeus from finding the mortal who would give him victory. However, the cunning goddess Athena discovered the secret and warned Zeus. Then the king of the gods summoned the greatest of heroes, Hercules, his son with the mortal Alcmene. The gigantomachy began at dawn, when the giants advanced on Olympus. Among them were Porphyrion, the most powerful, destined to face Zeus. Alcyoneus, immortal as long as he fought in his homeland. Enceladus, who breathed fire from his entrails. Ephialtes, who defied Ares and Apollo. The giants uprooted entire mountains and hurled them at Olympus, transforming the sky into a field of flying rocks. The ground shattered under their weight. Zeus, from on high, hurled his thunderbolts at the giants, burning forests and opening craters. Poseidon churned the seas, sending waves to strike down enemies approaching from the coast. Athena, with her shield and spear, aimed for each giant's weak point. Heracles was decisive. Alongside Athena, he pursued Alcyoneus even beyond the borders of his homeland, where the hero was able to mortally wound him with a poisoned arrow. Porphyry nearly defeated Zeus. He would have succeeded, had not Heracles fired an arrow at the exact moment the giant was about to strike the god with a column ripped from Olympus. Enceladus, struck by Athena, fell into the sea. The goddess cast the island of Sicily upon him, imprisoning him forever beneath Mount Etna, from which, it is said, lava and smoke still rise. One by one, the giants fell. With each death, Gaia's roar echoed across the earth, shaking the world. But not even her fury was enough to save her children. When the last giant fell, Olympus shone once more. Zeus was now not only the conqueror of the Titans, but also of the giants, consolidating his absolute power over heaven, earth, and sea. After defeating the Titans and the giants, Zeus reigned supreme over Olympus. But not even his strength and cunning could prevent the primal chaos from resurfacing. Gaia, enraged by the defeats of her children and the imprisonment of the Titans, decided to create a creature unlike any other. From her womb emerged Typhon, the most fearsome monster in the cosmos. His form was indescribable in mortal words. 100 dragon heads sprouted from his shoulders, each spewing fire, venom, and fury. His black wings blocked the sun. Serpents covered his entire body, moving like waves of darkness, and his eyes glowed like flaming volcanoes. Gaia sent him on a mission, to destroy Zeus, shatter Olympus, and free the Titans from Tartarus. Typhon emerged from the east like a colossal storm. The sky was covered in black clouds, lightning danced aimlessly, and fierce winds ripped trees from the ground. Mortal peoples who gazed at the horizon believed the end of the world had arrived. Zeus sensed the monster's presence and knew he would face his most perilous test. He gathered his brothers and gods, Poseidon with his trident, Hades with his helmet of invisibility, Athena with her spear, Apollo with his arrows, and even Hephaestus, forging incandescent weapons. The battle began with Typhon spewing flames that melted mountains and earthquakes that tore apart the ground. He attacked Zeus with dozens of heads simultaneously, each spewing poison and fire. The sky became an arena of chaos, thunder collided with lightning, seas surged over mountains, volcanoes erupted. Zeus, with his thunderbolt, struck each head of the monster. The impact made Typhon scream, but he regenerated, and the fight seemed endless. Poseidon churned the oceans to swallow the monster's body parts, but Typhon soared on his black wings, spreading storms across the world. Zeus's strategy was cunning. He feigned exhaustion, luring Typhon into a narrow valley. There, heaven and earth worked together. Zeus's lightning bolt combined with Poseidon's strength, while Athena aimed for the monster's vital points. Finally, Typhon fell. Zeus used the power of his supreme thunderbolt to hurl the monster into Tartarus, burying him beneath the earth's bowels. Some say Typhon's fury is still felt in the eruptions of Mount Etna, reminding mortals and gods alike of his destructive power. After this battle, Zeus established the definitive order of the cosmos. He was not only king of the gods, he was the guardian of stability between heaven, earth, and the underworld. This war not only cemented Zeus's power but also showed mortals and gods alike that even in the face of primordial forces and unparalleled monsters, cunning, strength, and courage could triumph. Olympus would never be threatened in such a way, and the figure of Zeus became synonymous with supreme authority, justice, and absolute power. After defeating the Titans, the giants, and Typhon, Zeus turned his gaze to mortals. Although he was lord of Olympus and all the gods, the human world was filled with pride, disobedience, and injustice. Zeus decided to intervene, to teach lessons of humility and respect, but also to reward those who demonstrated courage, kindness, and wisdom. Among mortals, there was a benevolent titan named Prometheus, who loved humanity. He taught humans to cultivate the land, tame animals, and build civilizations. But Zeus, concerned about the power mortals could attain, forbade them to possess fire, a source of energy and transformation. Prometheus, in defiance of Zeus, stole fire from Olympus and gave it to humanity. Humanity learned to cook, warm themselves, forge weapons, and expand their knowledge. Zeus, furious, decided to punish Prometheus in an exemplary manner. He ordered the Titan to be chained to a rock in the Caucasus, while an eagle devoured his liver every day, which regenerated overnight. The Titan's eternal suffering became a symbol of rebellion against divine authority, but also of hope and human progress. Over time, humanity became corrupted. People forgot justice, fell into lust and murder, defying the gods' command. Zeus, in his anger, decided to restart the world with a flood. Despite his severity, Zeus was also a protector of mortals who respected the laws and the gods. He guided just kings, inspired heroes, and safeguarded harmony between humans and the divine. Mortals who honored Zeus were blessed with bountiful harvests, victories in war, and prosperity in their cities. His power was absolute, but not arbitrary. Justice and order were his legacy, and his influence shaped the destinies of gods and mortals alike. Zeus, despite being the king of Olympus, was not only lord of the sky and justice, he was also the god of desire and cunning. His encounters with mortals and goddesses gave rise to stories of love, deception, transformations, and heroes that have marked the history of Greek mythology. His disguises were many: bull, swan, golden shower, cloud, even a simple traveler. With each encounter, a new story unfolded, blending passion, intelligence, and often tragedy. Europa was a Phoenician princess of unparalleled beauty. Zeus, in love, transformed himself into a magnificent white bull and approached her while she was gathering flowers. Charmed by the animal's gentleness and majesty, Europa climbed onto its back. The bull raced across the sea, carrying her to the island of Crete. There, Zeus revealed his true form. Europa became queen and mother of Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Sarpedon, who would become legendary rulers and judges. This story demonstrates the combination of cunning and destiny that Zeus wielded over mortals. Leda, queen of Sparta, was another victim of divine passion. Zeus took the form of a swan to approach her. It is said that that night, children were born who would change history: Helen, of the famous Trojan War, and the twins Castor and Pollux, known as the Dioscuri, defenders of mortals and symbols of brotherhood and courage. Danae, daughter of King Acrisius, was locked in a tower due to a prophecy that her son would kill his father. Zeus, transforming himself into a golden shower, entered the tower and conceived Perseus, the future hero who would kill Medusa and save Andromeda. Semele, a mortal from Thebes, fell in love with Zeus without knowing his true identity. He visited her often in secret, but Hera, jealous, tricked Semele into asking Zeus to reveal himself in his full form. The result was tragic: no mortal could bear the sight of a god in all his power, and Semele died. Zeus saved her unborn son, Dionysus, by sewing him into his thigh until birth, making him the god of wine and celebration. This story reveals the passionate, yet cruel, side of Zeus's relationships with mortals. Io, a priestess of Hera, was transformed into a cow to escape Hera's jealousy, but Zeus continued to protect and guide her until she was transformed back into a mortal. Alcmene, another mortal, became the mother of Hercules, the fruit of Zeus's love. Hercules grew up to become the greatest Greek hero, performing feats that helped both gods and humans. The story of Alcmene and Hercules reinforces Zeus's role as a creator of heroes and a direct influence on human destiny. After defeating titans, giants, and monsters like Typhon, and establishing complex relationships with mortals, Zeus turned his gaze to the gods themselves. Being the king of Olympus wasn't just about power and strength, it required wisdom, diplomacy, and justice. The divine hierarchy required rules, responsibilities, and balance, and Zeus became the guardian of this order. At the top of Olympus, Zeus presided over the council of the gods. There were Hera, his wife and goddess of marriage, responsible for protecting unions and families. Poseidon, lord of the seas, who controlled storms and earthquakes. Hades, lord of the underworld, who ensured that death and destiny were fulfilled. Athena, goddess of wisdom and strategy, counselor and protector of heroes. Apollo and Artemis, deities of light, prophecy, music, and the hunt. Aphrodite, goddess of love, influencing passions and encounters between mortals and gods. Hephaestus, the divine blacksmith, was responsible for weapons, armor, and divine inventions. Zeus presided over these meetings, mediating conflicts, assigning tasks, and deciding crucial issues, such as punishments for mortals, interventions in wars, and battles between gods or monsters. Zeus knew that maintaining order required delegating functions. Hera was responsible for morals and family matters, but also monitored extramarital affairs, often punishing mortals and gods involved with Zeus. Poseidon protected the seas and sailors, but could also trigger earthquakes and tsunamis, reinforcing Zeus's authority. Hades maintained the balance between life and death, ensuring that no one escaped their final fate unless Zeus intervened. Thus, each god had specific powers, but all were subordinate to the justice and authority of Zeus. Zeus's role as judge of Olympus was essential. He settled disputes between gods, such as the competition between Athena and Poseidon for the patronage of Athens. Zeus mediated, allowing Athena to become the city's protector, but ensuring that Poseidon had influence over the nearby seas. Love conflicts, often involving Hera, Aphrodite, or mortals, required Zeus to balance jealousy, passion, and consequences. Zeus also meted out severe punishments for gods and creatures who disobeyed divine laws. Monsters or rebellious gods could be imprisoned, exiled, or punished with punishments that reminded them of their inferiority to the king of Olympus. Besides maintaining order, Zeus inspired mortals and gods alike. He was the god of the sky, lightning, storms, and justice, and his presence was a symbol of balance. Kings and leaders consulted oracles in his name, citizens offered sacrifices, and festivals were held in his honor. Mortals sought his protection before battles, journeys, and harvests, and gods sought his wisdom and arbitration in critical moments. With Zeus in command, Olympus became an organized and lasting structure. He demonstrated that even among immortal and powerful beings, balance, justice, and leadership were necessary. His authority consolidated. Divine hierarchy, each god with clear functions, but subordinate to the justice of Zeus. Arbitration and justice, conflicts resolved with wisdom and power. Protection of mortals, blessings and punishments according to their conduct. Cosmic balance, between heaven, earth, and the underworld, avoiding chaos and ensuring the continuity of the world. Zeus, besides being a protector, was the supreme judge of the cosmos. Mortals and gods who disobeyed divine laws or acted with excessive pride were punished severely. His punishments were not merely revenge, they served to maintain order, teach lessons, and remind us that no being was above divine justice. Sisyphus, king of Corinth, was renowned for his cunning and disrespect for the gods. He cheated death twice, challenging the power of Hades and, indirectly, Zeus. When he was finally captured, Zeus decreed his eternal punishment, to push a giant boulder to the top of a hill, only to watch it roll back down each time it reached the summit. This punishment symbolized the futility of disobedience and mortal arrogance in the face of divine order. Prometheus, a titan friend of mortals, stole fire from Olympus and gave it to humanity. Although his action benefited humans, Zeus saw it as a challenge to divine authority. His punishment was cruel. Prometheus was chained to a rock, and an eagle devoured his liver daily, which regenerated nightly. This eternal punishment served as a reminder that even good intentions, if disrespectful to the gods, can bring severe consequences. Atlas, a titan who rebelled against Zeus during the Titanomachy, was condemned to hold up the heavens forever. This punishment symbolized the responsibility for defying Zeus's authority and imposing an eternal burden on the enemies of Olympus. Atlas became an icon of the weight of disobedience and the strength needed to sustain the world. Tantalus, a mortal favored by the gods, committed crimes of arrogance and treason, including stealing nectar and ambrosia and revealing divine secrets. Zeus decreed that he remain eternally in water that receded whenever he tried to drink and under fruit that repelled when he tried to eat. This punishment symbolized the retribution of greed and disobedience, reminding us that the gods held supreme authority over mortal life. Besides these examples, Zeus punished others. Niobe, who defied Leto, mother of Apollo and Artemis, and lost all her children as a lesson in pride and disrespect. Arachne, transformed into a spider for defying Athena in weaving, demonstrating that talent and pride without humility were dangerous before the gods. Mortals and gods who committed injustice or sacrilege often faced symbolic or eternal punishment, reinforcing Zeus's role as supreme arbiter.